Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hang out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And we return to Tal'Dorei campaign setting with our highlight series. This time we're talking about optional rules.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with us.
And while you're down there, you'll also find a link to Amazon to get your own copy of the Tal'Dorei campaign setting.
So today we're going to go over the optional campaign rules and guidelines that are in Tal'Dorei, and just talk about what's there and what our opinions are.
First off, I want to start this video by saying Matt Mercer personally gave me permission to mispronounce the name of it when I saw him at PAX Unplugged.
Nice. So the first thing that's in here is combat with large parties and the rules that are designed to deal with groups that are a party of 6 or more.
Right, and it starts right off with rapid quaffing.
So this, could offer a number of jokes with mispronunciation, but this is about drinking quickly.
Yeah, we'll leave that to people much less mature than ourselves. Or at least we'll make all of our jokes off camera. So basically this just says, hey, there's a feat in the feat section that you can just give all your players, or, you can drink potions as a bonus action instead of a standard action. I actually kind of like it. I've seen this rule used in other games as well that I've played in, and now that I think about it, that GM is a critter, so there's probably a good chance that he might have gotten it from watching Critical Role.
So potions as a bonus action, not a problem for you?
Nah, not really. I mean, either you get to heal or you get to do a cool thing, and then you get to still do your other actions. And there's just a bunch of classes and subclasses. Well, I should say subclasses that don't get to use their other actions nearly as much, so it would give them a use for it. Where there's other characters, it's going to take away a little bit from like your rogue, because this is something they can already do with their
cunning action.
But for everyone else, it's just a cool, nifty thing.
That's simple, cut and dry. But the thing that he ends it with is, don't forget, enemies can also drink their potions just as quickly. So if you rule that as a house rule, not only do you get to put a potion on your bad guys, but they get to drink it as their bonus action and not be able to give it to the players.
I might actually even allow my players to double barrel a potions as well. Only because I really want them to roll on that mixed potion table. I forget which game it was in, and I was like, you're going to drink a potion? And they're like, yeah. And then you're going to test the other one right after. They're like, yeah. I'm like, good. Get some percentile dice. Let's roll this.
So the other thing under that is the multi-spell. And again, once you reach 8th level, they say, give them the spell driver feat, which is another thing that's in the book. And that allows spellcasting classes more options to aid themselves and the party at higher levels. So this allows them to cast more spells per round. So when you've got something that's a bonus action, you can still be able to cast another spell. So you're not wasting your round by like, oh, well, I did this bonus spell, but I got nothing to do with my action.
Yeah, so basically, all it does is raise the restriction on casting 2 spells in the same round, and so now you can cast one of them that isn't a cantrip, but it has to be of 3rd level or lower, compared to before where it could only be a cantrip.
So it's a little bit of a twist, and again, he goes into this also is going to apply to your enemy spellcasters, so they're going to be able to abide by the same rules. So you want to launch 2 fireballs? Sure, go for it.
So will your enemies.
What
is good for the goose is good for the gander. So we have accelerated downtime, and there's actually 2 different ways this can affect play if you're going to use these optional rules in your world. The arduous rally is actually the second one, and I find this one really intriguing. Like, this is like, you cram pack like your short rest into 5 minutes. Maybe someone in the party gives a vigorous speech. You get the benefits of a short rest.
At the cost of an exhaustion level.
At the cost of an exhaustion level, and you also get half hit points back when you expend your hit dice. So there's definitely a cost there to doing it. But, like, you know what? you just got done a tough fight. You got another fight coming up right away. You can be like, all right, we're ready. Bring it on.
Let's do this.
Yeah, but it's going to cost you twice as much for your healing, and you got a level of exhaustion. So maybe worth it, maybe not. That first one's not too bad. But I like thematically. I actually like it far more than I do mechanically. So it's an interesting aspect. I don't know that I'm rushing to add it to my game right now, but
I wouldn't have a problem, allowing this in the game, but we all know how dangerous the level of exhaustion, can be. So if you try and do this too often, you're literally killing yourself.
yeah, and I don't see it as being something that would be done really often anyway. So the other thing is just the idea of accelerated downtime and 3 minutes instead of an hour.
So that makes it a little bit easier. A little bit less rolling on random encounter charts to see if there's anything wandering by. So it's however you want to play it. Here's some extra options for you.
Some of these are right in the DMG too, like variations of this. Exactly, I think, is in the DMG as optional rules.
So the next section is alternate resurrection rules.
Now we get a little weird.
And here is where things get a wee bit crazy. Taxing Return is pretty much just harkens back to 2nd edition. And that's if you die and you come back to life via magic, you suffer a -1 to your constitution. It's a permanent effect. The only thing that'll make it go away is a well-worded wish spell. And we all know how challenging wish can be. So I know I played characters back in the day that had to deal with that, and that's like, challenging.
Yeah, that adds up after a while, especially in old school games. Now, True Resurrection actually avoids this because it is True Resurrection. So, didn't come back right. So this is depending on the magic you use to bring you back. You have to make a check to see a wisdom saving throw when you come back to see that you come back mentally intact and you're not, you don't have a little case of the crazies and you don't lose your mind a little bit on the way back, the return trip. So when a character is brought back to life via magic, the character must make a wisdom saving throw with a DC equal to 20 minus the level of the magic used to return the character to life. A failure of this check inflicts long-term madness. See DMG page 260, except that the duration is measured in days rather than hours. A lesser restoration or remove curse will alleviate this madness itself, though it returns anytime the character drops to 0 hit points or awakens from sleep until the full duration has expired.
Well, now we come back to didn't come back right advanced. So if you want additional consequences and player difficulty, you can implement a further stage of corruption. If a character has died a number of times equal to their Constitution modifier, and they fail their Wisdom saving throw for the didn't come back right, they suffer a permanent phobia or issue that
insanity. Yeah,
is insanity. That a greater restoration spell will temporarily do it, but you are going to always come back to it when you wake up. Or after you've been dropped to 0.
You're crazy now. Which is funny, because if you're using all the alternate resurrection rules together, like that saving throw is, getting to that saving throw is going to happen really fast.
If you're dying a lot.
Well, if you die a lot. But, if you're dying and you're losing constitution, then the next time you die, your modifier in theory is probably gone down.
That is true. So then we have the Fading Spirit. This resurrection rule set is designed to add an element of party role-playing and narrative to the resurrection attempt, as well as the creeping threat of permanent death to a character. So the way this works is when you attempt to resurrect with anything that's longer than an action, so basically you're doing this as a ritual, your party members and anyone you want can attempt to add in to the spell. But anyone who adds in is going to make a skill check, and based on what they're doing, the DM is going to set the DC, and if they're successful, they're going to lower the check that you're going to make. If they fail, they increase it.
Yeah, but it's 3 versus 1, so like you have better odds of increasing than decreasing.
That is true.
And it's only a DC 10 to start with. But it adds basically a skill challenge to just the normal act of coming back and being resurrected.
So I like the aspect of this without there actually being the threat of failure. Just because like we play a game where, all right, it's resurrection. You're coming back as long as you're willing. So I kind of like the people vying for you. Oh no, please come back! Don't go.
I like the fact that one of them is actually they use the example of using intimidate to get you to come back.
Well, like,
It's less than ideal, and it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's in there.
I don't think they're trying to intimidate you. I think the idea is they're intimidating the divine beings that are holding you back. That was my interpretation of it, which is why it's like that's like a near impossible.
Maybe, but the wording is we're loudly demanding the soul of the fallen to return from the ether may require a charisma intimidation check. So, like, I kind of see it as both. God damn you, if you don't come back, I swear to God, I'll kill you. But, that's why it's also a difficult check. They're like, I'm already dead.
That threat's kind of a bit weak, dude.
Yeah, you missed that one. You missed the boat. That ship has sailed. And then it just finishes up with quick resurrections. You don't like revivify. You don't actually have a chance to do this.
Pretty simple. Some nice options. There's definitely some flavor that I would like to use and see what could be done. Overall, I like the idea of the Arduous Rally, not as a instead of, but as an addition to. So if you want to choose to do a quick rest and suffer those penalties for it, sure, I'd allow that.
It's the Hail Mary.
It's like, all right, well, we don't have time to sit here for an hour, but we got 5 minutes. Let's do this. Rah!
Yeah, and then hopefully, maybe encourage some role playing at the table. Like, what are you doing to cram this rest into that time? Like, I want a speech from somebody. God damn it!
All right, I'm going to take a 5-minute nap. Go.
So yeah, there's definitely some interesting things. The potion thing, no big deal. And more importantly, though, really what this chapter probably shows you, this section of the book shows you, as a GM, some tweaks you can make to your game to customize it to whatever you and your group's needs are.
So what do you guys think of these optional rules? Are you use them in your game? You got any other house rules that you're using? Why don't you share them down in the comments below? While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Swing by the description to find your link to get your copy of Tal'Dorei campaign setting.
So until next time, stay nerdy.